Hello! So far in this series we've talked about the fundamentals of scales, keys, and chords, and are now working on translating that information to the guitar. In this lesson we'll focus on a few important guitar concepts that will help you visualize key signatures on the fretboard more, primarily using chords. So first of all, I'd like to take that chord sandwich diagram from the 5th lesson in this series and start putting that sandwich stuff onto the guitar. So here's the sandwich again. It shows the order of triads that fit in a major key. It's saying that the first chord in any major key is going to be major. Then you'll have 2 minor chords, then 2 more major chords. Your 6th chord will be a minor chord, and then for your last chord, your 7th chord, you'll have a diminished chord. So these are the triads. So for example, in the key of G, you have the notes G, A, B, C, D, E, and F sharp. And if you make all the different triads in that key, you'll have G major first, then A minor, then B minor. Those are your 2 minor chords. Then C and D for the next 2 majors in your sandwich. Then E minor, the 6th minor. That's that big slice of minor right there. And finally, your nice F sharp diminished olive for the last chord. So there are many ways to play these chords on guitar, but I'm just going to show you one way for now. So you may have learned the major and minor bar chords, since they're very common. You know, these guys. Well, these can be kind of a pain to play on acoustic guitars, and also they have a lot of doubled notes in them. For example, like the major chord here, well actually the major and the minor chord both have 3 roots. Like there's an F major chord, there's an F here, an F here, and an F here. That's 3 roots. And they have 2 fifths. There's one here, and then you've got your 3rd here. There's only 1/3, but there's so much doubling, it makes it kind of hard to look at the fretboard and know exactly, where the 1, 3, and 5 are at first. So instead we're going to simplify these chords and just play the root, the low E string, the A string, and the G string. And the rest of them we're going to skip, so it's going to be root, 3rd up here, and 5th on the A string. 1, 5, 3. Those are your 3 notes of an F major triad, or of any major triad, but specifically here we're playing F, so we have F, A, C, oh I sang it wrong, F, A, C. Alright, very nice. So we're going to play our major chord like this, and then our minor chord we're going to take 1, 5, 3, we're going to flat the 3, make it 1, flat 3, 5. Okay, and then for our diminished chord, we're going to flat the 5. So we'll take the minor chord and flat the 5. Just move it down a half step, down 1 fret. And so we're just going to use this shape here instead of having the full bars. That way you can see what's happening to the root, the 5th, and the 3rd. So let's play through all the triads in the key of G major. So here's the G scale on the low E string. Here we got G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G. And so now we're just going to plug the triads from the sandwich in to this scale sequence here. So we're going to have G major. Then we'll have the 2 minors in the sandwich. That's A minor and B minor. And then we're going to have our 2 majors from the sandwich, C and D. Then next is our 6th chord, which is minor, a big slice of minor bread. And finally our little diminished olive. Oh, that's a sour little olive. So here it is again. We got G, A minor, B minor, C, D, E minor, and then F sharp diminished. Let's do it in another key for practice. How about B flat major? So here's the B flat major on the scale on the low E string here. flat, C, D, E flat, F, G, A, B flat. And what we'll do is we'll plug in the chords from the sandwich again onto that scale. So the key of B flat major, here we got major, B flat major, minor, C minor, minor, D minor, and a major for E flat major, another major for F major, and then you've got G minor, and since it's all the way up here, it's kind of a pain in the fingers. I'm just going to scoot it down an octave. So anything past the 12th fret, 12 is like the same as 0. So if something's on 15, then it's here on 3. And so I'm just going to move everything down and play my G minor here, G minor, and then finally in the B flat major scale you have A diminished. So once again, it's B flat, 1, 2 minor, 3 minor, 4, which is E flat, then F, which is 5, and then we go down to 6 minor, 7 diminished, and then 1. So you're always going to have the first chord major, and the next two, second and third, are minor, fourth and fifth are major, sixth is minor, and seventh, your little olive there, is diminished. So try this in every key, playing all the different triads in the key, going up in any key, you know, F, C. When you get too high on your instrument, just go down an octave. Yeah, so do that in all the keys and it will start to sink in. You'll start to really see how this all fits on the guitar, and before you know it, you'll be able to play chord progressions and write chord progressions in any key simply by memorizing this sequence and understanding how the sandwich thing works. Now you might be wondering, what about minor keys? Well, the order of triads remains the same for minor keys, except you start on the 6th chord of the sandwich, which is the big minor slice. So for example, the key of A minor starts on an A minor chord, then it goes to B diminished, then C major, which is where actually the major sandwich will start now, and you'll have 2 minors, D minor, E minor, then your 2 majors, F and G, and then we're back to A minor where we started. And so you'll notice that we have exactly the same chords as the key of C major, except starting on A minor. And the reason that works is because C major and A minor are related keys. We covered major and minor keys, relative major and minor keys earlier in the series, but now is a great chance to review that concept and bring it to the fretboard a little more. In a major key, the relative minor starts on the 6th note of the key. So if we're in C, we can count up 6 notes, C, D, E, F, G, A, and that is the relative minor, A minor. On guitar, it's easiest to see this relationship by actually going down 3 half steps. So for example, here's C, and we wanted to go to our relative minor, so instead of going up 6 notes up to A, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, instead we'll go down 3 half steps, 1 half step, 2 half steps, 3 half steps, and we end up at A here. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that's A, and so is this is also A, and so we can get to that A, instead of going up like so, we go down 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, just go down 3 half steps and you get to your relative minor. So you can think it spans 4 frets, 1, 2, 3, 4, and it's 3 half steps away. 1, 2, 3, and there's your relative minor. So anytime you find a note anywhere, let's say here is D. Alright? Anytime you have a note anywhere, D, if D were major, its relative minor would be B, down 3 half steps. Inversely, you can go from a minor key up to its relative major by going up 3 half steps. 1, 2, 3. So if you're wondering, man, I want to play over this backing track in B minor, or I'll do a key we haven't done yet, in E flat minor. I know my major keys really well, but I'm a little hazy on minor keys. What's the relative major of E flat minor? What you can do is, in addition to using your theory knowledge, you can use your spatial recognition and shapes on a guitar to think, alright, well here is an E flat, and so we want to go from E flat minor to its relative major. Well, just go up 3 half steps. 1, 2, 3. And right there where your pinky ends up, that, it's hard to play. That is your relative major. So we went E flat to E, E to F, F to G flat. So it ends up being G flat major is the relative major of E flat minor. Another observation is that's the second note of a minor pentatonic scale. So if you start your minor pentatonic scale on E flat, the second note is where the relative major to E flat minor lives. So from major going down to minor, you go down 3 half steps. From minor going up to its relative major, you go up 3 half steps. So it's a nice little relationship on the guitar to help you remember relative majors and minors. So using this knowledge, what would be the relative minor for each of these major keys? B major, A major, and E flat major. So let's pause the video, see if you can figure out the relative minor of these major keys. They'll each have their own relative minor. Figure it out, and in just a second, we'll go over that. So to find these, we go down 3 frets or 3 half steps from each of these roots. So for B major, we find that the relative minor is G sharp minor by starting at B, and then we're going to count down 3 frets. 1, 2, 3. And here we are at G sharp minor. The relative minor for B is G sharp minor. And so we could start our chord sequence from there. Alright, and for A major, we'll do the same thing. A, 1, 2, 3. We end up with F sharp. So F sharp minor is the relative minor of A major. For E flat major, we're going to go down 3 from here. From E flat down to D, D to D flat to C. So C minor is the relative minor of E flat major. So once you find it, I recommend playing through the sandwich, starting on the 6th chord. Cool. Now let's try finding the relative major of these minor keys. So we're going to find the relative major of D minor, the relative major of F minor, and the relative major of C sharp minor. So give it a shot. For these, you count up 3 frets from the root, or 3 half steps. So for the D minor, we go up D to E flat to E to F. So the relative major of D minor is F major. And then for F minor, same thing, we find an F down here. We're going to go up F to F sharp to G, G to A flat. So the relative major of F minor is A flat major. And finally, let's do that for C sharp minor. So here's C sharp. We go up a half step to D, up a half step to D sharp, and then up a half step to E. So C sharp minor's relative major is E major. So it's all helpful stuff. And so finally, let's do one more big quiz to end this lesson, just to make sure all the concepts are making sense. Find all of the triads in the key of E, the major, the minor, and the diminished, like we've been talking about in the sandwich, and then find all the triads in the key of G minor. So E major, and then all the triads in G minor. And I'll give you the answers in a sec. For the chords in E major, we just start the sandwich from E, and we get E, F sharp minor, G sharp minor, A, B, C sharp minor, and then D sharp diminished. And back to E. Okay? So once again. Cool. Now, for the key of G minor, we're going to start on the 6th chord of the sandwich, and we'll end up with G minor, A diminished, B flat, C minor, D minor, E flat, and F. And the relative major of G minor is B flat. So if we started the sandwich from B flat, we'd go like this. So I hope this lesson helps you start to see what chords are available in each major and minor key. Helps you bring this information to the guitar and visualize the fretboard in a clearer way.